Welcome to day one recap of the 2022 AA State Tournament. I'm Elon Olive. This is my good friend Dennis Bedwell. We're going to be joined by Aaron Huggins, the manager of the Jackson Giants, as well as David Settle from Wild Preps. He's expected to stop by. This is going to be a quick 30-minute show, as it has been a long day, but a great day, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a full day of baseball, ups and downs, home run, catches from just from nowhere. It's been a great day for sure.
Dennis and I it's been our pleasure to bring you the matchups this whole day, really, and of course with some help from Chris Brentel during the Gillette matchup. But we have an unsung hero on our broadcast team this year, and that is the great Mr. Aaron Poling. He has pulled together the highlights and put together some highlight packages so you can get a recap of today's games. Let's go ahead and start with the highlight package of the Cheyenne-Evanston game from 10 o'clock earlier today.
Scores the runner from second, doubling the Sixers' lead 2-0, but they weren't done in
some technical difficulties. Stand by 1 second.
Scores the go-ahead run as Wright dives into the plate. After a run scores on an error, Romero will double to left field to break this game wide open. Post Sixers now lead 6-0.
Evanston Cheyenne highlights.
To kick off Game 1 of the 2022 Wyoming AA All-Star Tournament, we have the Evanston Outlaws taking on the Cheyenne Post 76ers. Let's pick it up in the bottom of the third, where a McAnally fly ball floats its way towards center field, where Wilson, the center fielder, makes a diving effort to keep the score 0-0 heading to the fourth. Let's move to the bottom of the fourth, where a Lopez line drive single opens the scoring in the tournament. Osborne is able to throw Lopez out, trying to advance to second after the run scored. 1-0 Post Sixers. Let's move to the bottom of the fifth, where a Tafoya line drive double to center field scores the runner from second, doubling the Sixers' lead 2-0, but they weren't done in the inning yet. Next hitter is McAnally. He smacks a line drive single to left field. Tafoya is going to score on the play with a head-first slide. The Sixers now lead 3-0.
After a run scores on an error, Romero will double to left field to break this game wide open. Post Sixers now lead 6-0. We're going to pick it up in the top of the seventh, where Williams, into pitch, gets Wilson to pop out to Tafoya at third, and that'll do it for the Outlaws as the Sixers win this game 6-0.
To kick off Game 1 of the 2022 Wyoming AA.
Big thank you to Aaron Poling, as we're working out some of the kinks a little bit here on the show. But a big thank you to Aaron Poling, and you're sitting right next to me, Dennis, during that Evanston Post 6 game. Great performance by Post 6, but Evanston really came out and they battled well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that score is a little misleading, with it being 6-0. It actually was a very close game up until, I think it was on the fifth inning, where they were actually back and forth together, and then obviously, as it showed, they didn't end up winning it by that 6-0. But great baseball, started out a great way as far as having that first game of the day. So
it has been a definite fun day. Absolutely. And it's been capped off by just a lot of great moments. Let's go ahead and now take you to our second game of the day, the highlights from the Jackson versus Laramie matchup. You're not going to want to miss this.
Game 2 of the tournament saw the 6-seeded Jackson Giants taking on the 3-seed Laramie Rangers. We're going to pick it up in the bottom of the first, where the Rangers open the scoring with a Chavez line drive double down the left field line. Dodd scores from second. That wouldn't be all from the Rangers in the inning. 2 batters later, Ben Malone finishes off an epic 9-pitch at-bat with a line drive single right up the middle. The Rangers lead 2-0. Let's pick it back up in the top of the second, where after an Aaron Huggins RBI single, Mason Wright steps to the dish and hits a laser right to the second baseman Malone, who makes a diving stop. Unfortunately for the Rangers, as Malone threw the ball to first, the first baseman vacated his position. The tying run would score on the play.
The very next pitch, Granlund drilled an RBI double into left field. The Giants would go on to score another run in the inning. On an error, they lead 5-2. Let's skip ahead to the top of the fifth inning, where Granlund steps back up to the plate. Nobody on. He puts a jolt into one. This ball travels out of the ballpark for a solo home run. 7-3. the Giants over the Rangers. Let's skip ahead to the bottom of the 5th inning where the Rangers have clawed back and made it a 2-run game. When Medina hits a ground ball single to the right side, that scores 2. We have a brand new ball game. Let's move to the top of the 6th inning as the Giants respond immediately with a Matt Fisher RBI single back up the box. Ruckman scores. The Giants now lead 7-6. We move to the bottom of the 7th. Runner on third, Medina at the dish, hits a ground ball to the shortstop and is able to beat it out for an RBI infield single. We move to the top of the 10th inning where Tyler Casteels, looping single into right field, scores the go-ahead run as Wright dives into the plate head first. This will eventually go on to be the game-winning run. The Jackson Giants win 9-8 over the Laramie Rangers, our first upset of the tournament.
Game 2 of the tournament saw
a big thank you to Aaron Poling for putting together those highlights. And, man, that was an absolute marathon of a game, Dennis.
Absolutely. I mean, as you can see, went 10 innings. That's just unheard of right now as far as baseball is concerned. Obviously, the home run happened, like I said earlier. Amazing play for both teams, back and forth. They had heart for Jackson and for Laramie. And then obviously Jackson did end up winning that with that go ahead slide in at home. So what a great game though.
Trayson Castile has been kind of pacing this offense all season, so it's no surprise that he was able to be the one to kind of bring home the victory here for Jackson. Let's go ahead and read through some of these stats and keep this in mind. Just on the 19th of July, so not too long ago, Laramie and Jackson played a doubleheader. Final score 17-5 Laramie, 16-5 Laramie. So Jackson coming out with a huge win here in the state championship tournament is very, very impressive. Let's go ahead and dive into the stats via Game Changer by the Rangers. Garrett Dodd goes 1 for 3 with a run scored, an RBI, and a walk. Ben Ruckman 1 for 4 with a walk. Brandon Chavez 6 as he actually got 2 doubles in this game. And then, of course, we have Garrett Dodd, who goes 1 1/3 innings pitched. Brandon Chavez 2 innings pitched. And unfortunately, Mason Branch goes 1 1/3 inning pitch in the loss. But listen to these offensive numbers as we welcome David Suttle into the show. And David, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on this Laramie-Jackson matchup.
Crazy game.
Well, I'll start with you can't hit 6 guys and expect to win a game, and I thought that's what really handicapped Laramie. I mean, 4 guys hit in the one big inning for Jackson. That was really the difference in my opinion. And kudos to Coach Huggins and his squad. They came out, they challenged Laramie right away with their pitching, their hitting. They seemed to be a different team than Laramie had seen, especially last week. And for the Rangers, this is one of those games where they've had one of those innings, and that's ended up costing them more this year than they would have liked. And so that big inning, Jackson took advantage. I mean, the biggest one to me that maybe gets overlooked is the play up the middle. Ben Malone makes a fantastic backhand on his knees.
Throws it to first.
And Chavez thought he was going to second and takes off to the middle of the diamond. And Ben's only play, because Aaron Huggins broke on the ball, or broke on the play, because it's 2 outs. You're running with 2 outs. That's what you do. And Ben throws where his only play is not at second, it's at first. And I think he gets the guy at first. As it is, nobody's there. It's thrown away. The inning continues. They capitalize on a couple more hit batters. So Jackson did a great job capitalizing, I thought, on Laramie's mistakes. To Laramie's credit, they fought back in it. Diego Medina came up with a huge hit in the 5th that tied it. Another big one in the 7th on that tough ground ball. You know, I think some people go, you rule that an error. There's no way. That's a brutal play if you're the shortstop, Xander Witt, with Trayson Castile on the mound. And he got to as quick as he could, and he had to make a quick throw, and I knew he threw it in the turf, but Medina slid in safe before the ball even came close to getting to the bag. So clutch play there, but, you know, credit Jackson. They fought off. Laramie had a runner at third in the 8th, couldn't get it home. And that's another difference. Runners left in scoring position. 11 guys on base that Laramie left, and the guys they left in scoring position, that was huge.
And how big of...
And by the way, I will point this out real quick. It's no stranger Laramie and Jackson playing. I was talking with Jason Huggins, and we calculated 7 times in the last 9 years. Is that
Yep.
right?
I think
yeah,
so.
I think 7 in the last 15,
Wow.
16, 18, 19, 21, 22. So 7 of the last 9 years we've played in the first round of the state tournament.
We'll have Jason Huggins on in a minute. He's going to be stopping by in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and take a break. This is the 2022 307 Baseball Day 1 AA State Tournament recap. When we come back, we'll talk more with David Settle, check in a little bit on that single A tournament. A lot of great games happening over in Cody. We'll be right back after this message from our friends at Buckle Up for Life, Wyoming.
The car just started to spin. I could feel the top of the truck hit my head. I could feel the seatbelt hold me in place, and I knew it was doing its job. And I was so thankful for those seatbelts because they held us in. We did not go through that windshield. We did not go out that door. When it spun and flipped, we remained in that vehicle. The most glorious moment of my life ever was to open my eyes and see her face.
I like to believe the seatbelt is what saved my mom and I's life, and I just don't understand why somebody wouldn't just take the 3 seconds to just make that small decision to click it. Ever since I came home from the hospital, they put me in a seatbelt, and even now as a new driver, I still remember always to put my seatbelt on.
It's such a simple action that you can do that can completely change the course of your life forever. We are the Braley family, and we're alive because we buckled up.
Buckle up for life, Wyoming.
Welcome back to the 307 Baseball 2021 AA State Tournament wrap-up show here of Day 1, joined by a man who was a big part of probably one of the biggest stories coming out of Day 1. That is the 9-8, 10-inning win for Jackson over Laramie, joined now by Coach Jason Huggins of the Jackson Giants. And Coach Huggins, you've kind of made a career of bringing teams to the state tournament and getting the best out of them.
Right.
How do you do that?
I don't know. We just have, our kids just believe in the process. And, we play just like everybody else. We get here at the state tournament and, kids have 70-some games under their belt. So it's just trying to get them, to have confidence in, all the different things that they do out there. But, and we've seen this Laramie team before. I think, Settle and I were talking about they've been, 7-9? Is that what we talked about?
Yeah, 7 of the last 9.
Yep.
Just talked about that, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did.
7 of the last 9. And I'll tell you, every game has just been, even last year's game was great. And so it's just been Laramie and I seem to match up, that first game. So, yeah, it's been great.
I got to ask, have you ever seen Lucas Graylin hit a ball that hard before?
Oddly enough, yes. The kid is extremely strong.
Yeah.
He's hit some out in practice, too, that if you guys have been in our field,
Oh, yeah.
that Quonset hut out on left center has hit that. So
Wow.
The kid's got a lot of power, and he's still very young. He still has 2 years left in our program.
And, of course, he hit one over the green monster in
Yes.
left field, which David Settle, not a lot of people have been able to do that over the years here.
Well, shoot, God, Jason, you might know this better than I when they put that up, because I don't think it was here when we played in 15 here.
No.
And so I think it was part of their remodel here. And it's been a cool addition,
Yeah.
I'll say that much, because it was a lot easier to hit home runs into that big netting that was up there, and even to center field. And so I'm glad that they made those improvements. And I think Sheridan Thornrider Stadium, Ernie Rodolini Field is a wonderful facility. What's funny to me is you talk about the hard hit ball, Lucas Graylin. I want to talk about your guy that hits the ball really hard, and that's Trayson Costal.
Oh, yeah.
And hits the bloop shot to win it.
I know. We actually were just talking about that. He it seems like every baseball he hits right now is, a rocket off the bat. But, we get the little blooper to right field, and, that's just how it goes sometimes.
You got to have those breaks.
You gotta have
and
those
you and I
breaks.
talked about that.
You gotta
Nate
have those
Perleyberg and I
breaks.
talked about that. Yeah, a lot of managers brought that up. You got to
gotta
make
have
your
a
own
break,
luck, right?
You got to have your own. It's just, it's like us stealing Mason in that last inning, right? Send him on a steal. Ethan, he's been, going opposite field the whole game. I know he's going to put the ball in play. We steal Mason. Ethan goes right where the shortstop would have been standing.
Yep.
So we just kind of have to make your own. When we say make our own luck, but it's just, doing those little things right.
If you could talk to us a little bit about the start from Owen Kana, 4 1/3 innings pitched. It seemed like it was an uphill battle, but man, he kept fighting and clawing in that thing.
Right. So if you look at just his stats over the season, right? This is only his second start, but every outing that he's gone out, he gets he does a phenomenal job on the mound. He makes guys put it in play. Low ERA. And honestly, we talked about it. We back and forth who we wanted to start this game, and they just saw Aaron. They just saw Mason. Saw some of our guys. We're like, let's give him somebody he hasn't seen before, and just see if we can, shorten the game by getting enough out. So we just shorten the game till we can get it to, a Trayson, a Mason, an Ethan. And so we were able to. He was able to do that, and it proved to be the right move today.
Well, I'm curious, Jason, what was your thought process, and what did you say to Xander coming in with 1 out, bases loaded there in the bottom of the 10th?
I tell you what, that kid, he is a competitor. He's a fiery dude, and we wouldn't be where we're at without him for sure. Nothing other than just go be you. Just go, go do you. And he did a great job. I tell you, the sequence he pitched to Chavez was phenomenal. I mean, it was an outstanding sequence there. The changeup to him on that last pitch. He did a great job.
That is absolutely. It was the funnest game to watch today. It was the longest game. I mean,
what a great game, man!
It was.
Win or lose.
Oh yeah,
that was a great game, and
yes.
People should have just enjoyed being there.
Yep.
It didn't matter. I mean, just a fan of baseball.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Absolutely, and we had it all. There was some home runs, some great pitching performances, some drama at the very, very end, bases loaded. I mean, it really felt like, okay, the game is ending here because Jackson's either getting this final out or Laramie's bringing in 2.
So that was a replay of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Bases loaded.
Yep.
Same situation. We just didn't come out on the right end last year, and this year we're able to. So, it's just it's how it worked today, and our kids played really good. Honestly, Aaron's kids played awesome. It was just a great game.
Yeah.
It was a great game to be a part of. We threw 6 guys. How many did Laramie end up throwing?
6.
6?
No, 7. 7. I take it back 7. 1, 2, 3, 4,
7.
5, 6, 7. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knew that was going to be a ball game going into it.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever last week was last week, but at state tournament, it's always been a 1 or 2 run ball game between the two of us. So, and they did a great job.
I'll correct myself. 5 for you, 6 for Laramie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have Gillette now tomorrow at the 4 o'clock
game.
Easier,
no,
it doesn't.
It doesn't get any easier.
What's the thought process now?
We just we'll start Aaron on the mound tomorrow. He started against them at home in that first conference game. Again, it's just continue to come out. And honestly, our bats have been carrying us probably over the last 3 to 4 weeks. Even the games that we have lost, we've out-hit our opponents. Mm-hmm. And so if we can just get a solid pitching performance, continue our hitting, we'll just give ourselves a chance to be there in the end, and execute the little things that we need to, our bunts and stuff that we still didn't do great tonight, but we did well enough.
Good enough to get the win and move on to that 4 o'clock game with Gillette. That is Jackson coach Aaron Huggins. Jason Huggins. Sorry.
It's all good, man. Hey, you guys are up late, man.
I know. It's been a long day. Aaron Huggins made an impact. Jason Huggins managed the win. So there you go. Jason, thank you so much.
Man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take one more break. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up for Day 1 recap show. David Settle going to give us some impressions on other games, as well as a quick look into that single A tournament. Some great games happening in Cody. We'll be right back after this message from our friends at Buckle Up for Life Wyoming.
I'm Kendall Roberts with the Wyoming Seatbelt Coalition. Whether your car is a classic car or a new one, buckle up every time. Buckle Up for Life, Wyoming.
Big thanks to Jason Huggins for joining us, and now we're going to wrap things up. First, before we dive into Single A, quick thoughts, David, about the first game, the Cheyenne-Evanston matchup.
Evanston did all they could, I thought, and kudos to Coach Small and his staff. We talked about what's your strategy. Do you sell out for game one, or do you sandbag it and try and fight your way through the losers bracket, which is a tough way to go, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I thought Oliver threw well. I thought they battled. I think Cheyenne it's that first game, and no matter how experienced you are as a team, you're gonna have those jitters. Why? Because everybody knows you're the overwhelming favorite to win a third straight, 19 of the last 22. So the pressure's on.
Yeah.
And Trenton Rodriguez did a great job. He didn't throw a no-hitter again like he had in his previous 2 outings, but he did a great job shutting down, and then finally that offense came around, got to Evanston pitching. So, they probably went a little longer, and, a 6-0 game doesn't look impressive, but that's a good start for them. Now they can kind of go, all right, we got the first one out of the way. Let's relax and move on. Gillette, kind of the same way. Maybe a little rough, but, kudos to Rocky for having his ball club ready to go. That's that fight I was talking about last time in the preview show. They're just doing that a little bit more, and it seems to be a little bit more, which is why Aaron Lozano is really worried about tomorrow morning, because we've seen Rock Springs a lot this season, and while Laramie's won every matchup, it's one of those where just look what happened with Jackson. We were undefeated. Laramie was undefeated against Jackson, and Jackson pulls the big upset. So you got to just be ready. But Gillette, that's you get a good pitching performance, and out of Schilling. And then their offense started to click, and they took advantage of some Rock Springs mistakes. And then Sheridan, great pitching performance by Trevor Stowe to keep Casper off balance all game long. A lot of ground ball outs, and especially to the right side. Yeah. And even the fly ball outs seem to be to right center and right field. So great job of keeping some of those power bats off base and the other way. And I thought Coach Hill did all he could to try and win that game, because you throw your top guys. I mean, he started with Stowe. He throws Nowakowski, Sides, Tharp. I mean, those are their big guns. Now, the pitch count-wise, they can still bring a couple of those guys back. But, that's one of those situations where he did what he could. They just couldn't get the bats going, and that's in large part to Trevor Stowe. And Dalton Nelson, what a day for that young man.
I was about to say, Dalton Nelson, 3 for 4, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, just absolutely rich, and he gets the final out.
Yeah, comes in and closes it out. So, and I talked with several different players today, and it was pretty much everybody was like, man, it's good to get this first one out of the way. And there's just so much pressure on day one.
Yep.
And whether, like I said, you are a veteran team or a young team, there's just so much pressure. There's that build-up. You're excited. But, oh, my gosh, what can happen? What can go wrong? And we saw that, maybe a little bit early for Cheyenne, where a couple things didn't quite go their way. The Laramie-Jackson game's a prime example. So, finally you get that. And I think now you'll see teams kind of settle in and play maybe more of the typical baseball. The question is now it comes down to pitching in Double-A and who's got enough left. Great matchups tomorrow. Yep. So, Evanston Casper, I think, be interesting to see. Rock Springs Laramie, that's going to be interesting. The winners bracket games are obviously the big ones.
Yeah.
I think Sheridan can match up against Cheyenne. That should be a barn burner. Gillette and Jackson
7 o'clock under the lights. That's going to be nuts.
Gillette Jackson, that's going to be an interesting one. Because if I'm Gillette, do I throw Jason Fink tomorrow? Because then if you throw him and you're effective and you get deep into the game, he could take a couple days rest and be ready for Friday.
Yeah.
So depending upon the pitch. So do you run him out against a team you weren't maybe expecting to see on day 2? So that plays into it. If it's Laramie, maybe it's a different situation. Now that it's Jackson, does that change Nate Perleyberg's mind?
Yeah, well, Nate Perleyberg just named the 2022 co-manager of the year. Ty Lane also on that list as well. Worthy to note, Coulter McAnally sweeps the Player Awards, wins Pitcher and Player of the Year.
I got a little preview of that because I knew I was doing the announcing. State Legion Commissioner Jack Sims asked me to do the announcing, and I thought it was awesome. I thought the reaction of players, fans, coaches. Everybody loved having the All-State announced at opening ceremonies.
That was awesome.
You get the 36 guys right there. They take a picture together. You get the announcement of player, pitcher of the year, manager of the year. I think that's something that now that everybody's in one conference and you see all each other in conference games, you can do that moving forward. I thought it was a nice touch, and kudos to Jack Sims for actually thinking about that.
Yeah, I
so,
love that.
and congratulations to Coulter. Well-deserved on both. We talked about his number, 8.89 ERA,
it's ridiculous.
strikeouts. Wow. I mean, unbelievable. And then we know he can do at the plate and in the
Absolutely.
field. So, yeah, congratulations to Coulter. And I think, honestly, going co-managers, I think is probably right. Nate, I think, did a wonderful job.
Yes.
But you can't overlook Ty. I mean, they came in 59-10, for goodness sakes.
You know, it's hard. It's got to be hard for Post 6 to get consideration for the Always Awards, especially Ty
Well,
Lane
that's true.
as manager of the lane, because it's like
Very true.
you just expect this all the time from them and not realize that because it's the expectation, it's still by far the best that we have in the state.
Very true. Very, very true.
Let's go ahead and check in really quick on that single A and then wrap it up. And man, we had
Single A
some
had
major
some great
games.
games, man. 4 really great games, in my opinion, over Single A. You got to start with what I thought was going to be a terrific matchup last night between Powell and Cheyenne, and Brock Johnson's performance today. Wow, 1 hit, ball over 5 1/3, 10 strikeouts, really shut that Hawks lineup down. Not a lot of teams have been able to do that, so kudos to Brock Johnson for that. And they were able to get that win 4-1. Cade Queen, Jet Schwan had a couple big hits in that game for Powell, so they move on. Game 2 over there, Sheridan, this was kind of the only blowout, because Game 2, Sheridan 10-4. They jumped out 6-0 real quick and never looked back. Dyson had 2 hits, 2 RBIs for the Jets. Riley added 3 hits for Sheridan. Lovell just was not enough. Then you go to Casper Green River. Didn't expect that one to be as close as it was, but shout out to Coach Lale and his group. They got a great pitching performance from Ashton Eldridge. They led 3-0. Casper gets all their runs in 1 inning. Jackson scores in the very next inning to tie it at 4.
Green River scores.
Or, I'm sorry, Green River does. So it's 4-4, and then both teams threatened but could not get runs across. And we go to the bottom of the 7th, and Pexton comes up with the game-winning RBI single, a walk-off win for the Drillers. Get this, Casper, 8 errors defensively, gave up 1 hit as a pitching staff, and nearly lost that game. That's how much errors factor in baseball.
Yep.
And then the nightcap, Torrington wouldn't go away. I know there was an early home run. I think Jackson Schroeder hit another bomb. Surprise, right? It was a solo shot, though. It was 5-0 through 4 innings. Torrington scores 4 in the 6th, and it's all of a sudden it's a 5-4 brand new ball game. But right in the bottom of the 6th, Cody iced it with 2 runs, so they get the win. Schroeder had 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Jarrett Rinker added a hit and 2 RBIs apiece. So great games, and now you're seeing Cheyenne Green River in an elimination, Lovell Torrington in an elimination. I think Jax Peterson's going to throw tomorrow for Green River after they went with Eldridge today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Lovell Torrington, that's a great game that could go either way. And then good semifinals between Powell and Casper, and then Sheridan and Cody should be a wonderful nightcap. So Single A, shout out to you guys over in Cody, doing a fantastic job and providing a lot of dramatics of their own. We didn't really have a blowout at Double A State, and the biggest blowout was a 6-run win at Single A State.
Yeah, it's been great baseball played everywhere. Let's go and bring up that Double-A bracket with the schedule tomorrow. It's going to all start at 10 a.m. pregame at 9:45. Laramie versus Rock Springs, and man, I just gotta say, Hudson Garner being a second-team All-State player. That kid is one of the nicest players in the state, and it was really good to see him get rewarded. Now you've got 2 of the most likable managers in the state.
Yeah,
there was Rocky Rondinelli and Aaron Lozano going at it in an elimination game at 10 o'clock. And then I'm not being a homer. Evanston versus Casper, I think, is going to be good. I think it has the potential to be good.
What Casper Ball Club shows up?
Yeah.
Do they have a hangover from tonight's game where they couldn't get the offense going, and they're sitting there going, oh, gosh, what do we need to do with our – I think that's one where Kalen Hill and his staff really got to work on these guys from a mental approach. That could be one where Evanston hangs around in the start of that game, kind of like the Cheyenne game today. If you let a team hang around enough and they build some confidence, that could be dangerous for Casper. I still like the Oilers. They're a little more experienced, and I do believe they got guys that can come back and throw. Laramie Rock Springs, again, Aaron Lozano's already Larry. Laramie's 5-0 against Rock Springs this year. They were 4-0 against Jackson, just lost a barn burner, so you can't overlook that team. And that's a worry of, as the Rangers play-by-play voice for 22 seasons, I've seen it. These are young, high school-age kids. You just never know what you're going to get at 10 a.m. with an early wake-up call. So neither Casper and Laramie can afford to overlook those two.
The big thing for Casper that I'm wondering is, does Grant Nipper take the mound for Casper? Because he shut down Evanston in the second conference game just 2 weeks ago. So it'll be very interesting to see if that is the situation.
Well, I think you're probably right on that. Pitch count-wise, I know you were looking at that.
He didn't pitch.
I know he didn't pitch, but I was sitting there thinking they also could go Noah Kowski could come back and throw. So can Sides,
Hornecker.
so can Hornecker, and so can Tharp. So
yeah, there's a lot of numbers there.
And then Nipper, I don't think they throw Nipper tomorrow, but if you feel like you got to get the win in that situation, maybe you go with your big gun.
Evanston, though, still has Breckenridge available. Gavin Oliver wouldn't be available until Tuesday, but Hank Allred also available to go for the Outlaws as well. So
I think you might see Allred right there.
Yeah.
Might as well. At this point, what do you got to lose? Survive and advance right now in the losers bracket.
Absolutely. Let's move on to that semifinal starting at 4 p.m. Jackson versus Gillette, and Jackson with the upset magic in day one this time. Are we going to get a flashback to 2019 where Gillette beats Jackson, or Jackson, beats Gillette to get into the next round?
Well, and that is they're very capable of it because of the guy that you just talked to. We talked to with Jason Huggins. I like Jason as a coach because he's kind of one of those postseason guys, as you talked about, getting your team to play well at the state tournament. That doesn't always happen for them. Last couple of years have been kind of tough, but this year is one of those years where they could make it. Aaron Huggins is going to have a great pitching performance, and they're really going to have to play clean. Jason brought up the fact that they've out-hit a bunch of opponents, even in losses. They cannot afford to walk guys. That's been their biggest bugaboo on the mound. Walking guys, hitting guys. They've got to get through some innings pretty quick, and I think Huggins has to go pretty deep because they used 5 guys today. And I know pitch count-wise they didn't run up a lot, but that's going to be a fantastic matchup. My biggest question is, who does Nate Perleyberg throw?
Yeah.
And I would guess right now I think you throw Leighton Holden and save Fink for the next day.
Yeah.
That's my pure guess.
Yeah, because, I mean, they will have a next day no matter what, and it's going to – I mean – whether you're pitching to get into the state championship game or you're pitching to get to the semifinals, you want Fink available for that situation. And if you can keep him low, you could bring him back Saturday, like what you talked about earlier. And then at 7 o'clock, we've got the game that I've kind of been wanting to see for quite a while.
Yeah.
The Sheridan-Cheyenne matchup.
Well, you look at the roster of seniors on the Sheridan. This is the year they've been building towards. I think we see the All-State young man, Brendan Mortensen, matching up against – I'm going to call Bradley Fieser goes tomorrow night.
Ooh, that would be.
I think
I was kind of hoping for McAnally, but
I think they want McAnally for day 3 possibly.
Yeah,
but I think we could see Fieser. They threw Trenton Rodriguez today. You still have an Applegar through, but he didn't throw pitches where he could pitch
come back
tomorrow. So you kind of threw a little bit of a light bullpen. I think he finished at like 26 pitches. So. I think you're going to get a great pitching matchup, and you have 2 really veteran squads. Both can hit the ball. Both can play defense. Both can pitch it. This is the day 2 matchup I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see.
Yeah.
It's going just like you guys, I'm going to live at the ballpark all day tomorrow.
Yep.
So. Just like today, folks.
Yeah, exactly. So that is going to do it for day 1. We are done. We are out of here. We're going to get some rest after some work that we all
I was going to say, what
do.
Are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I was about to say, I got some work I got to do as well. But we invite you to join us on mylocalradio.com at 9:45 pregame for the first matchup. It is Laramie versus Rock Springs. Then at 1 o'clock, pregame at 12:45, Evanston takes on the Casper Oilers. And then, of course, semifinals start 4 o'clock, Gillette and Jackson. And then 7 o'clock, the big one, Sheridan versus Cheyenne. Could be a state championship preview. Never
Really
know.
could be, actually. I think you're right on that one. And there was a great crowd tonight for
Oh,
the Sheridan
man.
game, but oh boy, tomorrow night.
It's going to
Oh
be.
boy, tomorrow night. Once more Sheridan fans figure out, hey, we won and we're playing Cheyenne. Oh boy, and you're going to have a lot of the other teams that want to watch that game
man.
as well.
Yeah,
so.
everyone is. It was hard to find a seat tonight. It's going to be standing room only tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you for joining us. It's been a late night. It's been a long day. Get some rest, and we'll see you at the ballpark at 9:45. A big thank you to our sponsors, Buckle Up for Life Wyoming. You guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow for Laramie versus Rock Springs.